Welcome to Key Conversations, a Making It in the Music Business podcast. My goal for this podcast is to help you learn from these conversations with both experts and working musicians and serve as a guide to assist your career in the process. I'm your host, Cheryl B. Engelhardt. Let's get going.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome back.
To my podcast.
To your podcast. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
Patrick Ermlich, ladies and gentlemen, of Gramophone Media, the CTO, the CFO, the guy.
See something.
Tell me what it is again.
CMO. It's
Nope.
Chief Marketing Officer.
Is it?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a different letter.
It used to be.
Okay.
I'm moving around
I'm
the
so
C's.
sorry.
I'm like
I
going,
told you I would forget.
Moving back and forth the C ladder.
Okay, so he's
It doesn't really mean anything.
the guy at Gramophone Media, which basically means that he is on the side of artists and all about marketing and PR and authentically branding and all of the good stuff. And he's one of the good guys, and he's been on the podcast before. But today we are at South by Southwest. Show me your band. Show me your wristband. Proof.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just going to do a quick little Q&A and talk about things.
Let's do it. Anything you want to cover right off the bat?
Why do you come to these things?
In years past, it's often been obligation that I've come here for.
Yeah.
Whether we're throwing showcases or coming to meet clients that are already clients here with us.
Yeah.
So it's been a little bit of that.
Yep.
And most years I didn't enjoy it too much.
Yeah, that's
right. You know, but
Yeah.
this year actually, I thought I wasn't going to enjoy it, but I've enjoyed it quite a bit. So
What
this
changed?
year I didn't really have an agenda. You know, the last time I was here was about 2 years ago, and
Yep.
2 years ago, and we had a big company showcase. We were hired to do event
Yep.
production, so it was a logistics heavy trip.
Yep.
Plus, a lot of the staff came, so it was like a little bit of babysitting, a lot of logistics, and
Yeah.
like that just made for a lot of running around.
Yeah.
You know, and this year I'm kind of free.
Yeah.
And it's allowed me to just go see whatever I want with not a lot of obligation, and
Yeah.
just be a part of it and meet people and get to see you, which I always love doing here.
So great.
So that for me, it's like that's what's been different, and it's
Yeah, you get to see music and like be present with what is the whole thing's actually about.
yeah, and the
That's cool.
vibe here has changed significantly this year. There's a lot less people here.
It
A
feels
lot
different.
less.
Yeah.
It feels like 3/4 less people here.
Interesting.
And which is great, actually. It's easier to move around.
Mm-hmm.
It's you can get into things a little easier, and it's a little bit more about the music and less about a huge brand throwing a showcase.
Which is I
Which is
appreciate.
great. Yeah.
Very cool. So when you're working with your artists, what's the number one thing that you find that you need to do first? Like most of your artists that you start working with are missing what?
Oh, I think that I don't know if there's one thing that they're all missing. People are usually missing one thing or another.
Right.
You know, they'll either the content that they have, the visual content will be totally on point, but they don't have enough. They don't have enough music yet, you know, or they focus so much on their Instagram profile looking amazing, but they aren't actually releasing any music with any kind of consistency.
Right.
Or the music's great, they got tons of it, and they haven't developed any of their platforms yet. So,
Yep.
and we work with artists from all levels. You know, we just came off doing 18 months of BTS, who's on the cover of Billboard right now, and one of the bigger
Amazing.
acts in music last year, to people who have never put out a song before. So we run the whole gamut. So it's hard to pinpoint one thing. Maybe if I picked something, it would be consistency of any one thing. So it's a little bit about planning and helping them come up with, you know, a consistent strategy. Because a lot of it's
Sure.
like go hard for 2 months, try to generate buzz, and then go, now what?
Yeah. So you're a puzzle completer. People show up with like half a puzzle done, and you're like, or a quarter or 3/4, and you're like, okay, cool. You can see what puzzle piece is missing, and then you like get the corners.
That's right.
And the edges.
Yeah, and sometimes it's letting them know that there's actually a puzzle.
You guys, there's a puzzle.
There's a puzzle. Like it's something to be put together.
Yep.
And you know, with a lot of complex puzzles, which is what music is, it takes a long time to complete those puzzles, right? It's like
Legos.
it's like the 2,000 piece puzzle
That's like 3D.
that can take a decade to put the pieces together in a meaningful way.
I understand that.
Yes, you do.
As a
Yeah.
decade-old artist.
Yeah.
I'm only 10.
You're only 10.
Yeah, it's cute.
So young.
Yeah. I remember you telling me that overnight success takes 7 years. And I was, that made me so happy until I hit year 8, and then I was like,
Well,
yeah.
sometimes overnight success is 17 years. You know, I've known artists like that too, who have had their breakout hit at 17 years in.
Yeah. It doesn't
You know,
matter.
And it's also defined by what success means. You know, I know a lot of artists who I would consider really successful that don't feel like they've had success yet, right?
Who's that?
You know, so you're one. No, I think you're
Working on it.
very successful. I think you see yourself as that too.
Working on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
It's
know.
it's a self-perspective thing.
It is. It is.
So these days I'm geeking out on email marketing. Like I went to a digital marketing conference and I'm learning a lot, and I've actually realized that I've been putting into place for the past decade like pretty good practices that have been able to allow me to monetize my mailing list, which really means when I ask them for something, they show up. Like I'm funding a record here, my super fans emerge, or I need to fly my band to Europe. Does anyone have free miles? Yes, and I was able to fly people. How are you? What are some tactics that you guys are encouraging your artists to be using on the email front, or are you?
It's a good question because, like, you know, I give you a lot of credit for that because that you have to be, in order to get that, you have to be a master tactician and communicator, which you are. You know, you have to be. It's tough. I mean, you know, since someone who uses Gmail a lot, when it started segmenting, like this goes to promotion, this goes to this, like I don't even look at those folders ever. So anyone, even if I sign up for something I might want, I don't see it. So I think there's a lot of challenges in that, and I don't know. I think that a lot of our artists, I don't know what they're doing tactically in there. But I think you have to start. I think it went through an arc of relevance, right? When email started to get really spammy, and people started to see their open rates drop from 90% to 2%.
Right.
People gave up on it a lot, which I might be guilty of myself in that way.
Yeah.
But people like you who stuck through that and changed with and your tactics and finessed it over time are able to see the rewards of it. So, you know, it's another thing you have to invest your time and energy into and your focus to get any kind of get good at it, right?
That's my puzzle I'm taking on right now, is how to streamline that process in a way that's not overwhelming for artists to create content, or for the technology to not be overwhelming, because that can also be a block. So I'm always curious to hear how managers and other people are, what they're doing, but it is up to the artist. It's their voice ultimately. So
and I think it's really smart of you to do it, because when I first saw that you were doing this topic on that, I'm like, email, really?
And
then I'm like, well, you know, email was the thing when everybody used to read every email they got. I remember that. It was like mail. You would open every piece of mail you got, so you would read every email. Then marketers got involved, and it got spammy, and then people moved their attention from it. So I think you making it a focus when people's attention is moved from it,
but has it though? I mean,
I don't know. That was my perspective anyway. People got like fed up with email.
I think there was definitely like a thing, and now I think people are still doing a lot of business on email. It's still the one place where you don't have to like scroll through other people's feeds and things like that. I mean, even Cheryl Sandberg, the CEO of Facebook, says that she checks email before she checks Facebook. Like people are checking it, and yes, there's ways to like get those open rates and all that other stuff up, but it's not a bad place to start, and just having all the data that you can get there and keeping it and all that stuff. So anyway,
it takes a commitment though to understand its value and be patient. Like in so many things, like we talked about with the puzzle. It's a valuable tool. It's super valuable, but you got to be wicked patient.
It's a long game. It's a relationship building. Like this is the marriage, for sure.
Like for me, obviously, I use it a ton. But it got to be with having multiple companies with different addresses. It got to be, 17,000 unread things in your inbox type of thing, which you can't. It's hard to recover from.
I die.
So I found more. I'd be able to communicate easier in other like social platforms with DM or chats or anything, because I perceived anyway people's attention over there. But I mean, email's incredibly important. But kudos to you for going down the rabbit hole with that stuff, man. It's
Well,
crazy.
it's such a rabbit hole. Thank you. So, what's your your Midas touch? The thing that, like, when you show up with an artist, like, and you touch it, it turns to, like, what's your superpower for these artists?
Oh, jeez. Well,
Superpower. You've got several, I know that, but I want to hear from you what you think yours is.
I've tried to spend a lot of time the last few years working on my own self-awareness, right? So I think the thing that I do well is that I'm able to, I understand the kind of emotional undercurrent that artists have, so I speak to that.
That's awesome.
Right, so I think that's where my superpower might be.
Yeah.
But it's nothing. I don't think it's anything special for me personally. I think it's a lifetime of being around artists, and it's 30 plus years of being around artists and singers and creatives and entrepreneurs and listening.
That's what I was going to say. It's listening is a thing.
And I've been in the business for 20 years almost. So 20 years of listening.
Yeah.
And I in a particular line of work where volume is a thing I get to experience. So it's a lot of reps. And I think I listen for the emotional undercurrent and I can talk to it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that ends up being conversations that aren't tactical.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No,
I think
that
would be maybe mine.
I love that.
Yeah.
Tell me about the compass method.
Okay, so this is a good segue because that's really what it is.
Yeah.
So I'm working on this book. It's called The Compass Method, and the tagline is that it's a navigational guide for an artist's life and music. So
Where can we tell me more?
yeah. So and it's like for me it was actually a tool for me to give back to artists essentially because I've learned a lot over almost 20 years and experienced a lot. So and I think like this was a common thing in dealing with artists is it's hard. Right, it's a real struggle, and there's a lot of pain points there. So I tried to come up with a method that could kind of attack some of those pain points and bring a little bit of peace of mind to artists. So it's not an overly tactical book. It's more of like it's more of a headspace book and a big picture satellite view. Why you want to do it in the first place, right? It's going into that kind of piece. And I play on the compass piece, but I don't play entirely on the true north thing of it. I have my own little spin on it, but it's simple.
Spin.
Yeah, but it's compact. It'd be an easy read, but it would
I'm
be
going to
something.
be promoting the heck out of this. So
But it's something you can come back to. I wanted to do something that was non-tactical, so 3 years from now it won't be like, oh well, that's outdated.
Yeah, how to get Spotify likes. Cool. That's not going to be the same thing in 3 years.
Stuff always is going to change, so you need to have something that you can always anchor to regardless of what trends come and go. So
I love that.
That's it. And hopefully it's going to come out this year.
Amazing.
I'm getting close.
I am really excited for it. It's totally in line. Anyone that's done MX4, the first week is all about the bigger picture, and then we do get micro. But this is
totally in line with your world.
This is going to be part of the curriculum. I'm feeling. Oh. I'll read it and then I'll let you know. But I can't imagine that it won't be. Any last words for the music industry? That's not too broad, right?
Well, I think I learned two things so far this year here that I didn't think I was going to learn, or since I spend a lot of time listening, I didn't think that these would be the things that I picked up here.
Okay.
So one, people even doing this at the highest levels don't have all the answers. Everybody is trying to figure it out. Even people, like I just came from a panel where Tom Windish was speaking and Jake from Third Brain, and those guys are doing high-level things, but they're also like, I'm not sure. They don't exactly know why something goes or why it doesn't. So I think that can be a little bit like a peace of mind to artists too, is that not everybody's got it figured out. And if you don't feel like you got it figured out, that's okay. Everybody's trying to figure that out,
I love that.
I think that was like a cool piece I wasn't expecting to have reinforced. The other one is doing things on your own terms as long as possible.
Yeah.
And I came from a an engagement where Verite was speaking, and she's a really cool artist from New York. And she was talking about like how she built her team and her career and how she's grown and went through her struggles and all of those pieces. But she really did it on her own terms without a label, and she's with AWOL now. And it was refreshing to hear someone who many artists would consider be really successful given her what she's doing. But she just did it on her own terms. So I thought that was really nice too. And the thing that ties both those subjects together is that everybody I've seen talk at whatever level they're at, I think it's a cultural shift in music now where people who are really good at what they do have eaten some humble pie. And maybe it's the transparency of the internet, the Me Too movement, like everything that's going on. Yeah. People are a lot more real and less fronting going on.
Cool.
People who are doing it at a really high level even are talking that way, which is nice to hear. I think it's bringing some peace to the music business, which is cool.
Amazing.
So,
thank you for being here. How can people find you? Where's the best place what do you want to put out there?
Most of my you can find me on Instagram, which is just hashtag Ermlich, my last name. It's ERMLICH. I'm starting to put out content as kind of building context for the book on Medium, which I love that platform.
Yeah.
That's medium.com/@Patrick Ermlich.
Cool.
And then the book is thecompass-method.com. That's a little landing page for that where you can kind of sign up for an email list there.
Great.
And kind of get some notices about the book when it starts to get into the kind of pre-sale phase and get going out. So that's how you can find me.
Thank you for sitting with me.
Of course. I love you. So
I love you too.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Please don't forget to rate, like, and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and YouTube if you like this podcast. Musicians like you keep me inspired and motivated, and for doing that, I'm offering you my Mastering Email 12-page workbook. It's packed with valuable exercises and information to get clear on implementing and mastering your email list strategy. This will help you figure out the best kind of platform for your specific goals, including a 7-step process to build, grow, engage, and monetize your list, all while feeling authentic and on brand with your music. Get your Mastering Email workbook at inthekey.co/masteringemail. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time on Key Conversations. The theme song on this podcast was provided by yours truly. If you're interested to find out more about my composing and songwriting projects, go to inthekey.co/Cheryl. If you're a musician looking to get some real results for your music career, then head to inthekey.co/results, where I've created a bunch of different kinds of resources just for you. Key Conversations is sponsored in part by Bandzoogle. They make it easy to build a beautiful website for your music. Their step-by-step system gets you online in minutes, and you can choose from hundreds of mobile-friendly themes and customize them with their point-and-click editor. All of the features you can imagine for a possible website are built in. So, because you're a Key Conversations podcast listener, you get a special month free trial plus 15% off if you do decide to sign up, just for you. Go to inthekey.co/make-a-site to get the offer.
You'll find something is clear, it's meant to